Hey guys, my name is Sharon Chuta, and I'm the founder of Oma Beauty and Plug for Change. And I'm here today to give you 5 ways you can be a good ally this Black History Month and beyond. Number one,
She
the
built a
good.
$50 million beauty empire from nothing, championing 51 shades for every black woman the industry ignored. But when she got sick, they stole it all, sold her brand behind her back, erased her name, and fought her in court. 6 months into her battle for justice, Sharon Shooter was found dead on her LA patio. No answers. No closure. Just questions. This is the story of Sharon Shooter, a 38-year-old Nigerian-born beauty mogul who dared to disrupt an industry built on exclusion. Sharon didn't just create makeup, she created a movement. Woma Beauty wasn't another cosmetics line. It was a revolution, offering shades named after icons like Nina Simone and Diana Ross, ensuring every black woman could finally see herself reflected in the mirror. She was fierce, brilliant, and unstoppable. Until she wasn't. In 2023, Sharon's body began to fail her. She lost 10 kilograms in a single week, hospitalized with fears of stomach cancer, forced to step away from the empire she'd built with her own hands. And that's when they struck. Her business partners, the investors who promised to support her vision, allegedly seized control of Woma Beauty while she fought for her life. By December 2023, her brand was sold to another company, MacArthur Beauty, without her consent. The $50 million empire she'd sacrificed everything to build? Gone. Stolen. But Sharon wasn't the type to go quietly. In February 2025, she filed a lawsuit. $50 million. Fraud. Breach of fiduciary duty. She accused Brain Trust Fund, MacArthur Beauty, and Settle Funding of betraying her trust, manipulating her absence, and profiting from her pain. In court depositions, her words cut deep. They stole my legacy. She was prepared to fight until the very end. And she did. 6 months later, on August 14, 2025, a former colleague arrived at Sharon's Laurel Canyon home for a scheduled meeting. What they found on the patio shattered everything. Sharon was unresponsive. Emergency responders pronounced her dead at the scene. She was 38 years old. The cause of death? The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner's Office listed it as deferred. Translation: they don't know. Not yet. Not definitively. As of October 2025, right now, the manner of Sharon's death remains undetermined. Toxicology tests are ongoing. Labs are analyzing samples for hidden toxins, unreported illnesses, anything that might explain what happened on that patio. Was it the crushing stress of the lawsuit that finally broke her? A relapse from her 2023 health scare that no one saw coming? Or was it something far darker, someone who had too much to lose if Sharon won her case? The whispers have already started. Corporate betrayal. $50 million on the line. A woman who refused to be silenced. And a death with no clear answers. Was it the stress that killed her? A hidden illness? Or did someone silence the woman who refused to be erased? This story will make you question everything about ambition, betrayal, and who really wins when giants fall. If you're not subscribed to Whispers of the Criminal Mind, do it now. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss a single moment of this investigation. Because Sharon Shooter's story isn't just about true crime. It's about justice, legacy, and the price black women pay when they dare to build empires in spaces that were never meant for them. Let's dive into who Sharon Shooter really was. Sharon Shooter wasn't born into privilege. She was born into possibility. On September 30, 1987, in Lagos, Nigeria, Sharon grew up in a middle-class household where education and hard work weren't just values, they were survival strategies. Her parents weren't wealthy, but they were determined. They taught Sharon that barriers existed to be broken, that limitations were just challenges waiting for the right person to dismantle them. And Sharon? She took that lesson and ran with it. At 19 years old, while most teenagers were figuring out college majors and weekend plans, Sharon walked into Revlon's offices in Lagos with a pitch so audacious it bordered on ridiculous. She told them, "Let me distribute your products in Nigeria, a market you've been trying and failing to crack for over a decade." The executives could have laughed her out of the room. Instead, they were stunned by her confidence, her market knowledge, her sheer nerve. They said yes. Sharon became Revlon's distributor in Nigeria, and just like that, her journey into the beauty industry began. But Sharon wasn't satisfied staying in Lagos. In her early 20s, she moved to the United Kingdom to pursue a university degree in business and marketing. It was a leap of faith funded by family remittances and her own relentless hustle. She juggled classes with entry-level sales jobs, learning the ropes in London's competitive beauty scene. After graduation, she climbed the corporate ladder at global giants: PepsiCo, Benefit Cosmetics, L'Oreal. These weren't just jobs. They were classrooms. Sharon watched, learned, and took notes on everything the industry was doing wrong. What she saw infuriated her. The beauty industry claimed to celebrate all women, but the shelves told a different story. Foundation shades stopped at medium tan. Campaigns featured one or two black models as tokens. Leadership boards were overwhelmingly white. Black women, the very consumers who spent billions on beauty products, were treated as afterthoughts. Sharon had witnessed exclusion her entire career, and by 2019 she'd had enough. That year she launched Woma Beauty at Selfridges in London. The line debuted with 51 shades of foundation, each one named after black icons who paved the way: Nina Simone, Diana Ross, legends who refused to be invisible. This wasn't just makeup. It was a statement. It was a movement. Woma Beauty told every black woman, "You belong here. You are seen." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Within months, Woma expanded to Ulta in the United States, and Sharon launched an affordable line exclusively at Walmart for under $25, making inclusivity accessible to everyone. But Sharon's vision extended beyond profit margins. In 2020, amid global conversations about racial justice, she founded Pull Up for Change, an initiative that audited beauty brands for black representation on their corporate boards and leadership teams. She wasn't just building a business, she was holding an entire industry accountable. She mentored young black entrepreneurs, hosting dinners in her homes where aspiring founders pitched ideas over jollof rice and honest advice. Sharon poured her energy into uplifting others, even as she carried the weight of building an empire alone. Because here's the thing, Sharon was a solo founder. Unmarried, no children by choice, she channeled all her maternal instincts into her work and her community. Her personal life remained private, her romantic relationships kept out of the spotlight. What mattered to Sharon was the legacy she was building, the doors she was kicking open for the next generation. But that kind of singular focus came at a cost. She had no co-founder to share the burden, no partner to help shoulder the impossible weight of running a multimillion-dollar company while fighting systemic racism in real time. Her parents had both passed away, her mother around 2011 from cancer, her father in 2019 from the same disease. They left her a $900,000 property in Eden, New South Wales, Australia, a legacy that allowed Sharon to fund her philanthropic work and support other founders. But it also meant she was alone in ways that success couldn't fix. Family in Nigeria and the UK remained her quiet support system, but distance strained those ties. Sharon was building something monumental, but she was building it by herself. And that's when the corporate players entered the picture. In 2021, Brain Trust Fund came knocking. They saw Sharon's vision, her momentum, the empire she was constructing brick by brick. They wanted in. They promised to support her growth, to provide the capital and resources that would take Woma Beauty to the next level. Sharon, exhausted from years of solo grinding, said yes. But partnerships in business? They're only as good as the contract. And the trust behind it. Sharon was about to learn that the hard way. Brain Trust Fund, along with future players MacArthur Beauty and Settle Funding, would soon become the names attached to the betrayal that would define the final chapter of her life. Sharon didn't just build a brand, she built a legacy. Drop a comment. Where are you watching from? Let's celebrate her impact together. And here's a question for you. Have you ever trusted the wrong person in business? Someone who promised partnership but delivered betrayal? Share your story in the comments. Because Sharon's story is about to show us just how devastating that trust can be when it's broken. By 2023, Sharon Shooter was running on empty. Building a multimillion-dollar empire as a solo founder meant no breaks, no days off, no one to share the crushing weight of decisions that could make or break everything she'd worked for. Every product launch, every campaign, every audit through Pull Up for Change, it all fell on her shoulders. The exhaustion was catching up, but Sharon pushed through. She always did. Until her body decided it couldn't anymore. In 2023, Sharon lost 10 kilograms in 1 week. 10 kilograms. That's not diet weight. That's crisis weight. Her body was shutting down and doctors feared the worst, stomach cancer. She was hospitalized, terrified, facing the very real possibility that the disease that had taken both her parents might now be coming for her. The woman who had stared down corporate giants, who had challenged an entire industry, was suddenly vulnerable in a way she'd never been before. Doctors ran tests. Sharon waited. And in that waiting, in that moment of absolute terror and helplessness, she made the hardest decision of her life. She stepped down as CEO of Woma Beauty. It wasn't a choice. It was survival. Sharon needed to focus on her health, to fight whatever was happening inside her body. She trusted that Brain Trust Fund, the investors who had promised to support her vision, would hold things down while she recovered. She trusted them. That trust was her biggest mistake, because that's when they moved. While Sharon lay in a hospital bed, while she underwent tests and grappled with her mortality, Brain Trust Fund allegedly seized control of Woma Beauty. No phone calls asking for her input. No meetings to discuss next steps. No consent. Just a calculated corporate coup executed while the founder was too sick to fight back. Sharon had built Woma Beauty from nothing, conceived it, branded it, launched it, grown it into a $50 million empire. And in her absence, in her most vulnerable moment, they took it. December 2023. The news came like a punch to the gut. Woma Beauty had been sold to MacArthur Beauty. Sharon's brand, her life's work, her legacy, transferred to strangers. The deal was done. Signed. Finalized. And Sharon? She wasn't even consulted. She later discovered that the brand had been undervalued in the sale, that the company she'd built from scratch, the movement she'd started, had been sold for far less than it was worth. It wasn't just theft. It was erasure. When Sharon recovered from her health scare, tests eventually ruling out cancer, though the exact cause of her rapid weight loss remained unclear, she came back to a reality she couldn't have imagined. Her name was no longer attached to Woma Beauty. The brand she'd bled for, the mission she'd dedicated her life to, was now under someone else's control. In legal depositions that would come later, Sharon's words cut straight to the bone. They stole my legacy. But Sharon Shooter didn't become a disruptor by accepting defeat. In February 2025, she filed a lawsuit. $50 million. The defendants, Brain Trust Fund, MacArthur Beauty, and Settle Funding. Her claims were devastating: fraud, breach of fiduciary duty, asset transfer during her medical leave without authorization. Sharon accused the very people who were supposed to protect her interests of exploiting her illness to take everything she'd built. The lawsuit demanded accountability, compensation, and most importantly, recognition that what had been done to her was wrong. The case was filed in Los Angeles Superior Court, and Sharon made it clear she wasn't playing. She wanted justice. She wanted her brand back. She wanted the world to know what had happened behind the polished PR statements and corporate smiles. This wasn't just about money, though $50 million is nothing to dismiss. This was about a black woman entrepreneur fighting to reclaim what was stolen from her while she was at her weakest. And then came December 2024. Woma Beauty relaunched under its new owners. Imagine that for a moment. Imagine watching the brand you created, the shades you named after icons who inspired you, the mission you poured your heart into, relaunched without your name, without your involvement, without even an acknowledgement of the foundation you laid. It was the ultimate insult, salt poured directly into an open wound. Sharon had to watch strangers parade her creation, her vision, as if she'd never existed. But here's the thing about Sharon: she didn't break. On May 21, 2025, just months before her death, she posted on Instagram from a beauty summit. The photo showed her radiating strength, confidence, defiance. The caption was simple but powerful: doing what I do. She was still fighting. Still showing up. Still refusing to be erased. That post was a message to everyone watching. I'm not done. You can't silence me. Behind the scenes, though, the lawsuit was taking its toll. Legal battles aren't just about courtrooms and depositions. They're wars of attrition. Endless paperwork. Interrogations. Leaked emails dissected by lawyers looking for weaknesses. And the isolation. Former colleagues, people Sharon had worked with and supported, began to distance themselves. Corporate politics are brutal, and when you're fighting the machine, people scatter. They don't want to be associated with the controversy. They don't want to risk their own positions. So they ghost you. But Sharon wasn't completely alone. Supporters rallied behind her, launching the hashtag Justice for Sharon on social media. They amplified her story, called out the corporate betrayal, demanded accountability. It was a digital army fighting alongside her, reminding Sharon that her impact reached far beyond boardrooms and courtrooms. Still, the strain was immense. Depositions drained her. Legal fees piled up. And there were whispers, threats murmured behind closed doors, warnings that Sharon was playing a dangerous game. One of her peers later said something chilling: Sharon fought giants, sometimes giants fight back. It was meant as a compliment to her courage, but in hindsight, it reads like a warning. Because when you challenge powerful people, when you threaten their profits and reputations, when you refuse to go quietly, you make enemies. Dangerous enemies. Sharon's health scare in 2023 had already shown her mortality. The corporate betrayal had shown her the limits of trust. And now, as the lawsuit pressed forward into 2025, with a hearing scheduled for late August, Sharon was walking a tightrope between justice and something far darker. Put yourself in Sharon's shoes for a moment. You build something from nothing. You sacrifice relationships, health, sleep, everything, to create a legacy that will outlive you. And then, while you're fighting for your life in a hospital, the people you trusted steal it. They sell it. They erase your name. What would you do? Would you fight back knowing the risks? Or would you walk away to protect yourself? Drop your thoughts below. Because Sharon made her choice. She fought. And in just a few months, that fight would lead to a patio in Los Angeles, an unexplained death, and questions that still have no answers. August 13, 2025. The day before Sharon Shooter died, she had a heated phone call with Braintrust's lawyers. The lawsuit hearing was scheduled for late August, just weeks away. Discovery was in full swing, depositions were being scheduled, and the stakes couldn't have been higher. $50 million. Her legacy. Her name. Everything hung in the balance. Those who knew Sharon said the pressure was crushing. The call that day was particularly intense, voices raised, tensions boiling over. Sharon hung up exhausted, frustrated, but still determined. She'd been fighting for months. A few more weeks wouldn't break her. Or so she thought. That night, Sharon hosted a small dinner at her Laurel Canyon home in Los Angeles. It was intimate, just a handful of close friends and former colleagues. But something was off. Sharon seemed distracted, her usual confidence clouded by something guests couldn't quite name. At some point during the evening, she confided in them. She said she felt watched. Not followed exactly. Not threatened overtly. Just watched. She didn't elaborate. No specifics. No names. Just an unease that hung in the air like smoke. Her friends tried to reassure her, chalking it up to lawsuit stress, paranoia born from months of legal warfare. They hugged her goodbye, promising to check in soon. None of them knew it would be the last time they'd see Sharon alive. The next day, August 14, 2025, around 2 p.m., a former Woma beauty executive arrived at Sharon's home for a scheduled meeting. They'd arranged to discuss potential new projects, ways Sharon could rebuild after the legal battle concluded. The executive knocked. No answer. They called Sharon's phone. It rang somewhere inside the house, unanswered. Concerned, the executive walked around the property, checking windows, calling out Sharon's name. And then they saw her. Sharon was on the patio, unresponsive. The executive immediately called 911. Emergency responders arrived within minutes, but there was nothing they could do. Sharon Shooter was pronounced dead at the scene. She was 38 years old. Here's where the story takes a strange turn. Sharon was an indoor person. Friends and family described her routine as structured, predictable, work, phone calls, Zoom meetings, all conducted inside her home office or living room. The patio wasn't part of her daily habits. So what was she doing out there? She was dressed in loungewear, casual and comfortable, her phone lying nearby as if she'd just set it down. Everything about the scene suggested a sudden event, something that happened quickly, unexpectedly. Investigators combed through the property. No forced entry. No signs of struggle. The doors were locked from the inside, windows intact, nothing disturbed. Sharon's home had security cameras, modern systems that should have captured any suspicious activity. But according to initial reports, the footage showed nothing alarming. No intruders. No confrontations. Just Sharon alone. The footage remains under review by the Los Angeles Police Department as of October 2025, but no red flags have been publicly reported. On September 6, 2025, the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner's Office released preliminary findings. The cause of death? Deferred. In medical examiner language, that's a polite way of saying, we don't know yet. Toxicology tests were ordered to screen for drugs, poisons, anything that might explain what happened. Histology examinations were scheduled to check for underlying health conditions or anomalies that wouldn't be visible in a standard autopsy. The office requested more time. Weeks turned into a month. By October 3, 2025, today, the manner of Sharon's death remains officially undetermined. Labs are still analyzing blood and tissue samples, searching for toxins, unreported illnesses, any clue that might provide clarity. The investigation is active, but answers remain elusive. The LAPD assigned the case number 2025-13005 and launched a full investigation, treating Sharon's death with the seriousness it deserves. Detectives interviewed associates, friends, business partners, anyone who had contact with Sharon in her final days. They combed through the lawsuit documents, searching for threats, examining whether anyone connected to the case had motive to harm her. So far, nothing has been substantiated. No credible threats. No smoking gun. Digital forensics teams are analyzing Sharon's phone, reviewing calls, texts, emails, searching for evidence of foul play or signs of distress. Toxicology results for controlled substances remain incomplete, with labs backlogged and processing taking longer than anticipated. The autopsy noted no visible trauma, no injuries consistent with violence, no defensive wounds. But the patio location continues to puzzle investigators. Why was she outside? Was she meeting someone? Did she step out for fresh air and suffer a sudden medical event? Or was there something more sinister at play? The theories are swirling. Natural causes remain possible. Sharon's 2023 health scare, losing 10 kilograms in a week, hospitalized with fears of stomach cancer, suggests underlying health vulnerabilities. Stress from the lawsuit could have triggered a cardiac event, a stroke, something sudden and catastrophic. But her family vehemently rejects the idea of suicide. Sharon was a fighter, they insist. She was vibrant. Suicide doesn't fit. And they're right. This was a woman who defied Revlon at 19, who built a $50 million empire from nothing, who sued corporate giants and showed up to beauty summits radiating power just 3 months before her death. Suicide doesn't align with who Sharon was. Then there's the other theory. Foul play. The $50 million lawsuit creates motive. If Sharon won, Brain Trust Fund, MacArthur Beauty, and Settle Funding stood to lose everything: money, reputation, credibility. Did someone decide Sharon was too dangerous to let continue? The whispered threats during depositions, the feeling of being watched she confided to friends, were those warnings? Or coincidences twisted by tragedy? As of now, there's no evidence pointing definitively to foul play. But there's also no evidence ruling it out. Sharon's death exists in limbo, suspended between natural causes, accident, and something far darker. What do you think happened to Sharon Shooter? Was it the crushing weight of legal battles and stress that finally took its toll? A hidden illness that struck without warning? Or did someone with millions on the line decide to silence her permanently? Drop your theory in the comments. And if you know something, if you have information that could help bring closure to Sharon's family, the LAPD is taking tips at 213-485-2500. Sharon's family isn't letting this go. In the weeks following her death, they hired private investigators to conduct an independent inquiry, unwilling to wait indefinitely for official answers. The $50 million lawsuit against Brain Trust Fund, MacArthur Beauty, and Settle Funding? It's moving forward, posthumously. Sharon's estate has taken up the legal battle she started, determined to secure the justice she never lived to see. Her family is fighting not just for compensation but for acknowledgement. They want the world to know what was done to Sharon, how she was betrayed at her most vulnerable, how her legacy was stolen while she fought for her life. On X, formerly Twitter, the hashtag What Happened to Sharon has been trending for weeks. Supporters, fellow entrepreneurs, and people who never met Sharon but were inspired by her work are demanding answers. They want transparency from the LAPD. They want accountability from the companies named in her lawsuit. They want closure for a woman who spent her career demanding justice for others. The public pressure is building, a digital chorus refusing to let Sharon's death fade into obscurity. And Sharon's work? It continues. Pull Up for Change, the initiative she founded in 2020 to audit Black representation on beauty industry boards, is still operating. Teams are auditing 2025 boards, publishing reports, holding brands accountable. Sharon's vision of an inclusive industry didn't die with her. It's being carried forward by allies who refuse to let her mission be silenced. That's her legacy. Not just the products she created, but the movement she ignited. Sharon's estate is managing the royalties from Woma Beauty, whatever small percentage remains after the corporate takeover. Every dollar is being directed towards scholarships for Black founders, entrepreneurs who face the same barriers Sharon once did. Even in death, she's empowering the next generation, creating pathways for others to build without being erased. Her $900,000 property in Australia, inherited from her parents, is also being leveraged to fund grants and mentorship programs. Sharon's philanthropy outlives her, a testament to how deeply she believed in lifting others. But let's be honest about what this story really is. This wasn't just a crime, if it was a crime at all. This is a story about betrayal. About a Black woman who built something extraordinary from nothing, only to have it stolen by people she trusted. About fighting giants while your body breaks under the weight. About dying with questions instead of answers, with a lawsuit unresolved and a legacy in limbo. Sharon Shooter changed an entire industry, and it still wasn't enough to protect her. Her family, mourning privately between Nigeria and the UK, carries the weight of unanswered questions. Sharon's mother's words haunt everyone who hears them. She changed the world, now change for her. It's a call to action wrapped in grief, a plea for the kind of justice Sharon spent her life demanding for others. The tributes poured in: Pat McGrath, executives from Fenty Beauty, influencers, and Sharon's 32,000 Instagram followers. Everyone mourned. Everyone posted. Everyone shared memories. But mourning doesn't close cases. Tributes don't bring justice. Only answers can do that, and right now answers remain elusive. Sharon Shooter deserves justice. Whether her death was natural causes, a tragic accident, or something far more sinister, her family deserves closure. They deserve to know what happened on that patio. Share this story. Keep Sharon's name alive. Keep the pressure on. Because legends don't fade quietly, and Sharon Shooter was a legend. So here we are. October 2025. Sharon Shooter, beauty mogul, activist, fighter, found dead on her patio. Cause: deferred. Manner: undetermined. A $50 million lawsuit hanging in the balance. And no answers. What do you think? Was it a stress-induced health crisis that finally broke her body after years of carrying an empire alone? Foul play tied to corporate greed, with millions of dollars on the line and powerful people threatened by her fight? Or something else entirely? An accident? A hidden illness? A tragic coincidence we'll never fully understand? Drop your theories in the comments. Let's discuss this. And if you've experienced betrayal in business, if you have a story about trust broken and legacy stolen, DM us. You might be featured on Whispers of the Criminal Mind. Your story matters. This is true crime that matters. Real stories. Real consequences. Real mysteries that demand answers. Subscribe so you never miss an episode. Hit that bell icon. You'll want to be here for what's coming next. Sharon Shooter changed the beauty industry forever. She opened doors, challenged systems, and empowered thousands. Let's make sure her story and her fight isn't forgotten. Share this video. Keep her name alive. Demand justice. If you have information about Sharon's death, contact the LAPD at 213-485-2500. Her family deserves answers. Sharon deserves justice.